Hi, AfterBuzzers. You're watching the AfterBuzz TV After Show for Crowded, Season 1, Episode 4, Rearview Mirror. Join us as we break down the episode, give our thoughts and predictions. It's all coming up now. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Look at that, yes.
Love it.
Bringing it back in with Flo Rida. We can't get enough Flo Rida there. I recently just in Hell's Kitchen, just hanging out on one of the celebrity chef tables there.
Love it.
Yeah, everybody seemed to just falling all over themselves. The Flo Rida was in the
Flo
house.
Rida.
I don't even know
Yes.
if I would recognize him.
I don't either. I don't think
I would not recognize him either.
He's not
No.
one of those.
Welcome everybody to the after show, the crowded after show here on AfterBuzz TV. I'm your host, Frank Moran. We'll be breaking down the latest episode 4 season 1 here. Rearview Mirror. I'm trying to say Rearview
Yes,
Mirror a
got
lot
it.
today. I got it. I nailed it finally. But it's not just me. We've got the whole house here. This panel is a little crowded. Why not? Just comfortably so. Comfortably so. To my immediate left, we have Dani Golub.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dani. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Dani Golub.
And rounding out the panel, we have Abby Vega.
Hello, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at _Abby Vega.
Look at that. So, episode 4. Guys, we did it.
Yes.
We broke down 3 episodes last week. This week, we're only going to do 1. Really get in depth.
Yes.
There you
So we can really dissect this one.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, pretty odd. It was just, again, I feel like just like before we get down the episode entirely, just a nice little through line again between father and son. Just seems like that seems to be, and we talked about that a little bit last week. That seems like it's going to be, I feel like our season-long arc is just their relationship kind of coming together.
Seems that way.
Yeah.
Seems to be the main relationship that they focus on. So
Yeah, so episode 4 out of 12 episodes in season 1. So how are you feeling so far?
I like this one.
I'm loving it.
I think that this one really stepped up the comedy game. I feel like I was laughing a lot more, laughing out loud. I'm one of those people that actually laughs out loud at comedy. But yeah, I thought this one was really funny. I thought there was a lot of really strong, one-liners, and not just from, I feel like, Patrick. I feel like some of the other characters kind of stepped up their game a little bit in this episode too.
Yeah, I thought Stella had some
hilarious.
great moments, and Patrick Warburton, I told you guys, I'm obsessed with him.
Yeah.
Everything he says is so hilarious, and I actually tweeted about it, and someone said that it was so hard for them not to break on set because they thought he was so funny with everything he said.
I feel like he's playing himself, like I said last week. I feel like that's why he's just able to deliver on these lines, because it's so natural for him.
And this episode 2, Martina, was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like everyone kind of really stepped up their game this episode.
Everyone had good moments this episode.
Because so far we've talked a little bit, I think maybe even a little bit off camera about some of the NBC's comedy slate this season here. We've had Superstore, we've had telenovela, 2 series that just started at the same time, and I feel like, at least for me, watching them, Superstore was one I was kind of like, at first, but then really grew to like it by the end of the series.
Right.
Telenovela, I right from the beginning, it just didn't catch my interest, and I ended up not even finishing out the season. This one I feel like is going to be, for me, more like Superstore. I kind of enjoyed it at first, and I feel like as we keep watching the season, it's just going to get more enjoyable.
Yeah.
What do you guys feel?
Each episode, I find myself getting a little more invested and liking the characters. At the beginning of a show, you don't have all your opinions yet or what you think of people, but then now you start getting invested in the characters and you want to know more and you like watching them and seeing what happens. So I feel like I'm getting like that with each episode.
Yeah, same. I feel like I'm kind of growing to love actors that I didn't know before, which is what I love with NBC comedies. I feel like if you look back on some shows like The Office or Parks and Rec, there's so many characters in those shows that you never would have known, so many actors. And I feel like Mia Serafino, the young woman who plays Stella, is really killing it. And I just haven't seen her in stuff before.
Yeah.
And this is an awesome first role for her. And I feel like every line she says, she delivers. And so I feel like for people, I just think that there's going to be awesome character arcs. And I just think that, you're getting to know these characters, like she said, you're getting to kind of fall in love with these people slowly. And so I think that this show has a lot of potential. I feel like it definitely is already going up for me, so I'm hoping it continues.
And speaking of love, I guess that ties us really nicely into the beginning of the episode. We have Bob getting a text from Alice, just in communicating just by emojis.
Yeah, I love that. the tiny cartoons, as he calls them.
Yes. Basically, I don't know that. I guess we learned this episode. I did not realize this before, that Alice is a prison guard.
Yeah,
I didn't know that either.
And he was a cop too. Right?
Yeah, we were talking about how we didn't really know everyone's occupations, so I thought it was funny that this episode we find out a couple of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that they have a woman being a prison guard at a male prison too. I just think that that's pretty awesome. I think that they're kind of like, though it's not the main focus of this show, they're kind of like breaking down some stereotypes and stuff, you know?
Now, we saw Mike get a little uncomfortable. He couldn't even finish his yogurt. Like, oh, please.
The yogurt. The yogurt,
Yes,
by the way.
the yogurt.
We were talking about this a little bit before, but the yogurt is like there's got to be some significance to the yogurt. It's like an underlying theme of the show.
Yes,
they are
yogurt.
Yogurt was actually one of the main points of the last episode with the vanilla yogurt. In this episode, the opening scene, they're all eating their yogurt in the kitchen. I'm like, what is with the yogurt? Maybe we'll find out.
Danny, don't you do that? You just get together with the family all in the kitchen. You all pass out your yogurt.
I mean, is that something that you could?
No, I definitely noticed the yogurt. It was just always in the kitchen.
Yeah,
they always have
it's always
yogurt
there.
There
around.
you go. So he gets a little uncomfortable by just like the public displays of affection between Bob and Alice. Now, when it comes to your parents, do you guys get a little uncomfortable with their public displays if they're kind of romantic or it's little sexual innuendos between them? Like, oh, please, or you're like, it's cool, whatever.
I find it so funny that he was so uncomfortable with that because he and Martina are extreme. Like they have so much PDA in front of Stella and Shay. So it was like, okay, this is a two-way street here.
Yeah.
You know, if you can give it, you have to be able to take it a little bit. And so I thought that was funny that he was so uncomfortable. But I mean, obviously, yeah, I think every, child of parents would be somewhat uncomfortable with that. But yeah, I just thought it was so funny that he was so sensitive to that when he is kind of being a little hypocritical.
Yeah, I don't think I get, like, there's a line, obviously, that I don't want to see. But I think parents showing affection is good. I think it kind of gives you kids, even when you're younger and don't really realize it, it kind of gives you that view of what love really is,
Right.
And, like, maybe you don't realize it at the time, but subconsciously you're seeing that, and that can affect you and how you are with relationships. So I think it's good. But obviously there's a point. I don't want to see them making out or anything.
A
But,
10-minute make-out
kiss,
session.
holding hands, a little
Right.
affection. It's good to see it.
Well, it's interesting with Mike though. I guess because since Bob and Alice they live just next door, so it seems like, all right, if they're not living there the whole time, so they want to have a little kiss or something or hug inside the kitchen or something, and then they're going home, so you're never going to see
Yeah.
really anything. But then, like you were saying, Danny, you've got Shay and Stella living there in the house. So,
Yeah.
but you're comfortable with just like, hey, yeah, I'm just gonna
We're going upstairs. And,
yeah, like, you got your daughters? Come on. Oh, I don't know. But then we learned the reason that Alice is coming over with her prison guard university. Just got out of work, and there's an inmate that has requested Mike to come in and pay a visit to him. And is Mike's fifth grade grade school bully.
I loved how this was the main focus because you see Mike now and he's this big guy, and it was just so funny that he was still so upset and hurt by a fifth grade bully. And I mean, I guess that kind of shows the way they did it in the show is funny, but I guess it is kind of an underlying, things like that can affect people for their whole life.
Yeah, I don't know. I can remember people that picked on me, but nothing to the effect where,
Specific.
yeah, like Roger Lopez, Chuck Carrier. I remember you guys.
Yeah, I remember you.
I feel like he was really hung up on one incident.
Yes.
And I think that I like how this show kind of always has something that's like a serious undertone. You know what I mean? Like they had like the therapy in the previous episode, and this one is bullying. And so even though it is really funny, and they do it in a nice way where it's like you get the humor, because Stella was saying, how she bullied some people, and she goes, some of the people lost the weight.
Yeah, her lines were
I was
funny.
just like, my jaw dropped. I think that they do it in a way where it's funny, but it's also still addressing like a serious issue.
Yeah.
So I think that it was a great story for this episode because it's funny how it all plays out.
With her sick burn, I called him Smelly It.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you got him. All right.
Smelly it becomes important.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
very
he
true.
does.
But then, as usual, we kind of see that Martina and Bob always seem to have kind of differing opinions about how Mike should approach something that he needs to do. Martina's all about like go there, get that closure. The
therapeutic approach.
Yeah, you really see her. I didn't notice it in the first couple episodes, but after last episode when it was focusing a lot on her trying to put her therapy on everyone, I feel like now I'm going to start noticing that more and more with everything she says because it's shown, like, I don't know if whatever. You could see that a lot in this episode, her using her therapy kind of in her comments. And
you feel like Mike never really takes it that seriously.
I don't think any of them do.
No, I don't think
she's the only one. She's like in her head, like this is what's gonna work, and no one listens to her.
I agree. Yeah, I don't think anyone takes it seriously.
For sure. And Bob's opinion is like, you don't mess with the past. No. Leave this all alone. To go back and messing up the stuff. But Mike, I do like Mike kind of compromises between the both of them. He's going to go back there and he wants to bring Martina, but just dress up really hot.
Right.
That was
Just do
so
that.
great.
She's like, kiss me in front of him.
Yes.
It was
Was
so
my
funny. And they're just
favorite
like looking at him. It was so funny.
And we find out that Kyle, this 5th grade bully who just menaced Mike back there when he was in grade school, is played by none other than David Spade.
He was funny.
Yes.
Great.
The juxtaposition of their current sizes too
Yes.
is really silly because Patrick Warburton is at least twice the size of David Spade now, and so he was like, yeah, he was that big when we were in 5th grade.
And I
So-
loved how when they were at the visiting center, they have that huge man come out,
Yes.
and Martinez. Are you talking about that like tree of a man, or
Yes.
she uses some funny reference, and then so you think it's this huge guy, and then pops out little David Spade. He's like, no, him.
Which, if anybody that knows David Spade knows that he's quick with wit. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand as a bully, maybe not necessarily a physical bully, but more of a just a mental bully.
Yeah,
Yes.
Right.
which is I feel probably worse.
Yeah,
Very
I
true.
feel like that is, the psychological thing can get to you more, I feel like,
Yeah.
than sometimes than the physical.
And we find out that what Kyle did to Mike that was so traumatic is that he crazy glued his pants to a chair, and he couldn't get out of it, so he had to crawl out of his pants in his underwear in front of the whole class, and everybody just laughed at him as he cried.
Yes.
And that
Be really
has haunted him.
traumatic.
That,
Yeah.
that could be.
I can imagine
That's
that
a
would be
big
really-
incident.
Yeah.
So I understand him remembering that a little bit.
Now, did you guys were you either the victim of some sort of prank or were you the instigator of a prank when you were kind of growing up?
You know? I don't know.
I feel like I got pretty lucky. I feel like at that kind of stuff, it was mostly like at summer camp and stuff, and it was at a good fun.
Yeah.
I feel like I, didn't really experience anything that was traumatic enough for me to remember it right now.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if it was, I would remember it. But I could definitely relate. Everyone's kind of been in a position before where they felt singled out, and what like regardless if it was bullying or not, I could see why he would kind of be holding a grudge.
Yeah, I feel like I relate to that in a sense where none of the pranks were malicious pranks of someone actually being mean and bullying, but sleepovers, everyone always
Right.
does stupid stuff, the whipped cream on the hand and then tickling their nose,
Yes.
Right.
slap it, but nothing traumatizing.
Yeah, for some reason. I remember once we tried to put one of our buddies that fell asleep, put his hand in
And
the hot
wanted
water.
him to pee.
Right.
I'm like,
Like,
but
why?
like, that would have got all over our couch. If I would have
Yes.
thought about it. If I would have
I
really
know.
played it all out. Like,
Yeah.
No, that wouldn't have been a great move to do. But we did it. We tried it anyway.
Yeah, it's so funny.
And so Kyle, it says that no, Mike, you're wrong. I never did that. And the reason that I came here wasn't so I could apologize to you. It's because I need your help because I got framed for possession.
Yeah.
And I know your dad's a cop, and maybe you can get hold of videotape there to show that I am actually innocent.
This was a huge ethical dilemma too, because do you help the bully in this situation? Do you help the person that made you feel so horrible? I feel like I can relate in this sense that there were people in high school that weren't great that I kind of had issues with maybe, and if they came to me now and needed help, that would definitely be some sort of ethical dilemma for me. Would I help them? And you definitely see Mike go through that in this episode.
Yeah.
He kind of has that internal dialogue with himself. Am I going to help him, or am I going to, I've wanted him to be in jail since I was in 5th grade.
Yeah.
Am I going to let him rot? And so it's kind of interesting to see this play out.
For sure, because I think it's easy to say you be the bigger person, oh
Yeah.
yeah, but then put in that situation, I think it's not that easy to be
No,
able to
yeah.
Yeah,
forgive
definitely not.
past transgressions.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Would you do it, Abby?
I haven't been in that situation, but I couldn't tell you one way or the other. I think I'd have to wait till I was in that situation.
Well,
'Cause
your
it's-
your pants have been crazy glued to that chair.
Oh no.
So we're about to
Saving
find out what
thumbs
Abby
in
was
your
doing.
pants.
There was one really funny line that was one of my favorite lines of the episode before we move on. David Spade says to the really, really tall other inmate, he was like, "What were you in for?" And he said, "Triple homicide." And he goes, what did he say? He goes, "Yeah, people make mistakes. That's why pencils have erasers." I was like, that was just one of those witty David Spade moments that you could just totally miss if you weren't listening. But it was so funny.
And I thought that another funny part in this little scene was, so Martina's in this hot little outfit, you
Right.
know, and it was so funny because Mike wanted her there looking hot, whatever, but when David Spade starts complimenting her and stuff, she gets all whatever, and Patrick Warburton with his calm down, Martina. Like, you know, like I wanted you to look hot, but like chill.
Yes.
Yeah, she's like touching his shoulder on the way out. And he's like, let's go.
He strictly wanted her there, like as it was just.
Trophy
I thought
wife.
that was hilarious. His little, he said everything so monotone to her, like calm, chill.
Because it plays back to the last episode of her, you know, like wanting that attention. You know what I mean? Of
Yeah.
her like wanting to feel sexy and young and getting attention from another guy. She probably was like, okay, I still got it, you know?
Yeah.
I know. Although, I guess in prison, every guy is going to be like, any woman that comes in,
Yeah.
like, hey, all
Yeah,
right.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
but still, Martina is very
She looked
attractive.
great.
Yes,
She looked
absolutely.
banging.
Yeah.
Girl, it's
I
like hot mom.
I actually don't know how old Carrie Preston is, but she looks
awesome.
good.
She really
looks
does.
way better than me, and I don't know how. She looks amazing.
It's almost Pilates, as she says.
yeah, maybe probably in real life. So
But we found out Mike's going back to visit his past. Stella's also doing the same thing as well.
Yes.
She decides to reach out to Elliot there,
Smelliot.
hanging out at her grandpa's bar, and seeing if she can make amends. And it doesn't really not much common right there. And I feel like Ellie's like, you're really shallow. I
Yeah.
can't
she
imagine
ends up
me.
liking him.
Yeah.
It's not just like trying to make amends. She actually ends up wanting to go on a date with him.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's an interesting dynamic because she's not used to rejection as like being like the token hot girl from high school or whatever. So I think it's interesting to see her be kind of rejected by someone who she thought of as inferior to her. So it's kind of like a funny little, back and forth between them.
And I also thought that was one of the most relatable things, at least in my experience with friends, and even, I guess, myself sometimes, is when he rejects her and Stella's talking to Shay and she goes, his rejection made me want him more.
Right.
I see that as like a trend. Sometimes girls are so dumb, and I'm guilty of this too, but when there's a super nice guy that you like and he's like super nice to you, you don't want him. But then when there's someone that's a little harder to get, it just thrives, like makes you want him more. And I feel like everyone's guilty of that in some sense, whether it's in relationships or just in general.
That's very true. And then it always seems like you end up going back and regretting, like, why did I do that? I had this
Yes.
great person right here, and I just,
Yep.
If only I would have been smart enough back then.
Yes.
But I do like Alice as well, because she's like, I don't know why everybody's so obsessed with these scrawny guys. I want a
Oh,
big
it's so
longshoreman of a man.
That was
Yes.
so fun. That is so funny too, because I feel like so many people of her generation are just like, what is this like hipster thing?
Yes.
These guys are hot now. You sell it a little bit in 22 Jump Street. I don't know if you've seen that movie, but when they go back to college and like Jonah Hill is now the like hot one and Channing Tatum, that's kind of what I felt like in this. Like the big bulky guys are no longer like the it thing.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, like a lot of like the hot celebrities these days
Yes.
are kind of like guys that maybe 10 years ago wouldn't have been the it guy.
That's so funny, because I went to the Justin Bieber concert and in my head I go, what is he wearing?
so
What is his
little.
hair? But I still was like, but dang, Biebs, But like in my head I know his outfit's wrong, his hair, everything's wrong.
Yeah.
Your mind just tells you something else.
It's the new
Yeah.
normal.
It is.
That's right. But then there's also like the dad bod. Is that still? Or is that
Dad bod's
is
a
it-
thing in
Leo
college.
DiCaprio has
Yeah.
it now
Everyone
too.
has the rocking the dad bod.
the dad
Yeah,
bod.
women are still supposed to look a certain way.
Yes.
So I
Yeah, but the dad bod. All right. Yeah.
don't know. Martina's still killing it.
Yeah,
so.
she's looking good.
So then we have Mike and Bob. They head back over to Mike's place, and they pull out all the DVDs of the stakeout footage or the security footage, and they're like, this reminds me back of the old days, which I did like this line about their life back when Mike was growing up. It's like, sitting outside a crack house, drinking black coffee. Yeah, not like nothing nothing an 8-year-old likes more than sitting outside a crack house than black coffee.
There was a funny part in that too. They were looking out for a strangler, and I made a connection here to The Office. There's I don't know if you've watched The Office, but another NBC comedy. They have the Scranton Strangler, and in this one it was like the Cedar River Strangler. Is that like a thing? I'm noticing like some connections. Like that's not a thing we hear about very often in the real world. Like someone who's a strangler, going around a city strangling
never.
people. Like I just thought that was. I made that connection. I thought that was so funny. Like that was what they were staking out for.
I feel like that's like the fun version of like a serial killer.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's
Like
a
a funny-
strangler.
Is that
fun?
Yeah,
I
he's
don't
a
know.
strangler. It's not as bad as a serial
Yeah,
killer.
it definitely doesn't sound as bad. It
No.
sounds kind of hilarious.
Yeah,
like
it's
a
a
strangler.
I just thought that was so weird. I was like, okay, maybe this is a thing.
No, but what's interesting though is that because given what Mike's been saying about Kyle, especially that what he did to him as a kid, you're like, he's already just like a jerk. I'm sure he's he's lying about this. But it turns out, no, Kyle was telling the truth. He was framed. Somebody else is on the footage there. So, Mike, even more of a dilemma. What does he do now? Because he actually has the evidence that could free Kyle from prison.
Right.
Are you going to be kind enough to actually give that guy that you can't stand a second chance? Or do you just say, no, this guy deserves it anyway? Just because he's innocent of this crime doesn't mean that he hasn't done something else that he doesn't deserve to be in prison for.
I feel like at that point, I'd give him the footage.
I don't want to get all Shawshank Redemption over here. Like I don't need him to like be in prison for something he didn't do. After watching Orange Is the New Black, it is rough in there. I don't want people to be stuck in places that they don't deserve to be in. Like I feel like I would give someone the benefit of the doubt. Like I don't actually have to hang out with them and spend time with them, but like they don't need to be in jail if they didn't actually commit the crime.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's
like,
a little crazy.
I feel like it's like, okay, maybe I'd want them to like, you know, lose the lottery, but I wouldn't want them, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't wish great things for them, but I wouldn't wish that, you know? I feel like it's like there has to be some sort of medium, and you know, Mike gets him back, so we'll get to that.
Right. Yeah, there you go. And then their little moment there is ended there when Bob gets another emoji text.
That one was hot
Alice.
dog, donut, explosion, sleep.
Yes.
I gotta go.
We'll leave that one up for you to interpret on your own.
It's so funny too how it's incorporating emojis, because that really is in this, you know, everyone
how
uses
people
emojis so much. So I think it's good that they're kind of incorporating some jokes.
I love that the grandparents are using them.
Yeah.
At first he goes, I hate new things, Bob. And then now he's like, okay, I get this. I can work with this.
But tell me something I like. All right. Yes, absolutely. How much do you use emojis in your text?
Good amount.
Yeah,
I really like
do.
the little like the sideways one. Like
I probably use them too much. But yeah, I use them a lot. I love this girl.
Yes.
I don't know what she's doing, but I love her. I love her. I feel like everyone has their own thing of what she's doing, and I love the dancing lady. I love them all.
I love emojis.
I don't even know what half of them are, and I use them. Sometimes my friends and I will just send each other the random ones. We're like, what is this?
Yes.
Now on Snapchat, you can zoom in and like see what they are, and sometimes I'm like, okay, what is this thing? But yeah, they're fun to play with.
They are fun.
Will you send multiple emojis as just your whole text, or just like you use one emoji to kind of accent the end of a sentence?
Sometimes I do just emojis.
Yeah, I feel like they're more of like an added thing for me. But I've seen like, you know, someone can, I've seen this online, like on, you know, some viral website. They like create you can create a song like out of the emojis, and you can try to figure out what song it is by like looking through people like
I've
literally,
seen those.
or they do like a movie or something. It's like cop, gun, like, and so you try to figure out what it is. Like people like really communicate via emojis now completely. So I think it's fun that they're incorporating it into the episode, and I think it's fun that they're having the grandparents do it, because it's just like what you would least expect. My grandma definitely doesn't use emojis. She barely knows how to check her email. So
It's not too late.
it's not too late. We can
No.
show her how to use them.
And so then, speaking of using technology, we do have Stella back on a second date with Elliot, but it's almost like doing a little Cyrano de Bergerac using modern day technology. I can see she has a little earpiece right there while Shay's on the other side of the bar feeding her lines.
Do people actually do that? I'm sorry, that's like
pretty
always
nuts.
a thing in TV. I feel
Yes.
like it's
It
always
is.
such a TV thing, but like maybe people actually do that.
I couldn't get away with it. I don't think. I'd be like, what?
I mean, she wasn't really getting away with
No,
it.
she
She was
wasn't.
repeating. She goes, "Don't repeat everything I say." You know, like she was not getting away with it. But
Because I feel like the only time I really see it is on like those comedy shows where where you have some celebrity sitting in a room and they feed just repeat everything they say to somebody.
Like Ellen DeGeneres,
Ellen
when she
does it
sends people
amazing.
in, it's hilarious.
she did it with Adele recently. It was amazing.
Yeah, at the coffee shop.
It was amazing.
Great.
But I don't know if I don't know how practical. I mean, I guess it helps when you have like Stella. She's got the hair that kind of covers, so you
Yeah,
can never
right.
see the ears anyway. So I guess she could get away with it.
For shorter hair, it might be a little harder. But yeah, I guess she can get away with it. But what I thought was interesting is while I was watching this, I was like, it's actually Shay dating Elliot. You know what I mean? Because they were communicating, and you know the words were coming out of Stella's mouth, but it was Shay. And you know we were talking last time is we really want Shay to find someone. So I was sitting there hoping. I was like, I hope that we figure out that this isn't Stella, because Stella, I feel like, always has been the one to, you know, have more success with guys and stuff, and you know Shay is more insecure, and so I thought maybe this could be an interesting way for Shay to be talking to a guy but not actually having to make the first move. You know, she's talking through someone else. So I don't know, like right when this first happened, I was like, I hope they figure that out. So we'll see.
Yeah, and it seems like they made some sort of connection there.
Right.
Yeah, definitely Shay and Elliot seem to really kind of hit it off. I'd be curious to see if Elliot's going to be somebody we're going to see in multiple episodes, or this was just for the episode.
I actually looked into that because I was kind of curious about where that was going to go. It said he was only in one episode.
Oh,
I know,
Abby.
heartbreaker.
Abby.
Because I was curious about that. I was thinking maybe that could be for Shay. But then at the same time, I still, for some reason, I'm thinking Shay's going to end up with someone that we wouldn't expect.
Right. I think if anything, it's just confidence for her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like a confidence booster. She realized, like, while communicating through Stella, it, unfolds that Stella, the phone dies, and so Stella starts totally messing up, and Shay reveals that she is the one that's been communicating with Elliot. And I think that boosted, Shay's confidence, that, like, the guy was actually more interested in her than he was in her sister, which I feel like never happens. And even Stella couldn't believe it. She's like, don't play dumb with me. You'll never win at that.
That was a great line for that.
It was a great line. But yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. And I think that it was good confidence booster for Shay. So even if it doesn't work out with Elliot, like, hopefully we'll see someone else, be with her. Because last episode we saw her super rejected after, the toast was burned. And so I feel like this maybe will, like, kind of build her up a little so she can find someone that she actually should be with.
Yeah.
I was actually in a conversation with somebody. We're talking about different dating apps. And we're just running them off, and then I actually said Toasted, like that was a real dating app. Like, and Toasted, like, no, that's not. That's not a real one, guys. So sorry about
it's gonna be. It's gonna be.
And to rewind back a second there, as we're talking about Shay and just getting confidence and stuff. Right at the beginning of the episode, after Mike tells the story about what Kyle did to him, they said, "Do you have any photos from when you were a kid?" And he says, "No, I got rid of all of them. Yeah, I don't remember that kid at all."
Right.
So Shay says, "Oh, so that mean I've got photos with me with braces and acne. Can we get rid of those?" No. Those are adorable. We're going to keep those. So for you, with your parents and stuff, do they hold on to your childhood photos? Are you embarrassed about that?
My mom just posted one on Facebook yesterday. I'm not embarrassed, though. It's funny. I think it's hilarious to look back on pictures and your awkward stage, because I think the best ones actually are from, like, high school. You look at yourself, I wore that? Yeah, you thought, that's the difference. Because in high school, you remember, like, that, and you remember, I thought I was looking great. Yeah. And now you look back. So it makes me curious to, am I going to look back in 5 years at my college outfits and be like, what was I wearing? I think, it's funny, because styles change, makeup, everything.
There's plenty of pictures of me with, like, a cast and braces at the same time, and I was just like, I was a mess. You know what I mean? My mom was like, that was who you were at that time, and I was like, yikes, like, you let me in public with you? Literally a cast up to here, full braces with, like, rubber bands and everything. It was probably competed with Shay for embarrassing photos.
I remember I just have one picture where I have just like a plastic huge wolf ring on my finger. And I took that in my photo. Like, why did I?
Kids are weird.
Yes. I thought that
what
was
are
just
we doing?
thinking, like, that is ridiculous. Let me actually get all the way to, okay, cool. Thanks, guys. All right. Yeah. So then all of a sudden Mike goes back to prison with to go see Kyle. Brings Martina along, of course.
Yep.
We gotta
looking
bring
good
that.
again,
Yes.
Martina.
She's wearing, like, thigh-high boots in this one.
Like,
look
at
that. She brought it on, yes. And he's basically said, I got the CD or the DVD that's going to exonerate you, but before I do that, I need to have you come clean. I just apologize for what you did.
Yeah.
And Kyle's like, no, I did. Kyle, he sticks,
like,
man.
no.
He doubles down on the lie.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I will not give that up. And so Mike says he's going to do the bigger thing and just gives him the footage anyway.
Yeah.
And says, all right, I'm out.
And I was just laughing out loud when the big, huge guy came back out, and David Spade's line, I kinda did. Like, he admits that he did it, but the way he said it, it was just hilarious. He did that high-pitched little squeal. Kinda did it. Like
even alone where Mike could never even hear it, he still didn't want to fully admit. It was
funny.
I could have. Who knows? Who really knows at all? And then we see that it's done everything that Bob was worried about. Is that it just got Mike just all wanting to go track down his past and find out, like, let's go stake out somebody else. Let's get the black coffee out. Let's go track down everybody else.
Any problems.
Yeah, he came up with a new suspect in like 0.2 seconds.
Yeah. It was just creating more of a headache for them. It was funny. What did Shay say? She's like, this is some Pretty Little Liar stuff over here.
Yes.
With Stella, she was like, this is getting too much. Like,
that was hilarious.
It was really funny. There was just like some really funny one-liners in this episode. Like, I found myself just like laughing at some of the things they would say. It was really well written.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. And we do find out the big reveal is that Bob knew all along what happened, and that it was indeed Kyle that really did it. And he never told Mike that for sure, because they didn't want Mike to be that kid that kind of like is known as like the narc and the tattletale that gets picked on by everybody.
Yeah, which I can understand that a little bit, because definitely knowing Bob's character,
Yeah, and being a cop and knowing what happens to people that do that, kind of, the snitches, you end up getting beat up and stuff.
And
I think it was also just like, he said, I've made mistakes as a parent, but look, you turned out great. You know what I mean? Like, I think it was kind of just like, not everything that a parent is going to do is going to be perfect, but he did what he thought was right for Mike at the time, and it ended up being the right thing, and so in retrospect, like, hindsight is always 20/20. Like, you think, oh, could've, should've, would've, but look how he turned out. The situation's fine. You know what I mean? It's one small incident that's haunting him. It's not like a lifetime of like, bullying and stuff.
Yeah, it was interesting though, and I'm not sure how I feel about it when Bob does admit to Mike that he goes, oh, I do have a photo of you from that when you were that kid. And he pulls it out, and then given what we saw in the last episode where he revealed, like, when I see you, I just associate you with my first marriage, and it was so terrible that, I probably kind of reflected that towards you as well. So knowing that and then seeing this where he does have that photo, I feel like, does that seem genuine that he would still have that photo, or he'd be so like, he'd always associate Mike even with that first marriage that he wouldn't hold on to anything. I don't know.
I didn't think about that till now.
It stuck out to me for a second.
I thought about it, but I was thinking also, it's still his son. So even if he does have this negative, memory of him with his past marriage, having one photo, like, in his wallet, a photo, like, in your wallet like that, you don't really look at every day. But it's just there. And so I think it was kind of just, like, having one photo of your child from his entire childhood isn't very much, And so I feel like it was actually really nice because he was like, I did love that little boy, As much as it was, like, maybe a hard time for him to reflect back on, it's still his son, and he still loved him and cared about him, and having, like, one photo I thought was kind of nice, and it kind of humanized Bob a little bit, because I feel like as much as Mike has a really hard outer shell, I feel like Bob's is almost even thicker, kind of, and so I feel like they kind of, like, it was a nice sweet moment between them where I thought, I actually did think, like, is this genuine? And I thought, I think it is, because I think it was just, like, one special moment. It was one photo that reminded him of the positive parts of his past, maybe,
I can see that, yeah. And the one thing, because I figured we do a cutaway of the photograph, and we see the young boy with the bowl cut and the glasses. I feel like that's got to be really Patrick Warburton. Because I don't know why do the cutaway to the shot if it really wasn't
with some, like, Photoshop or something, you know what I mean? Like,
I feel like so. I feel like that was, like, a real childhood photo. Because why spend that extra shot in there?
No,
all the photos, if you notice in the house, are, like, Miranda Cosgrove as a kid. Like, if you look in the background, they did a good job with that, because it's like, okay, they did some nice, like, head crop on another body, like, to make it look like family photos. I feel like they have to do that for all these family shows. In Modern Family, if you look in the background, like, on the wall, there's, like, group photos. I don't know how they do all those. But
yeah, it's crazy. The details.
Impressive.
Yeah.
And speaking of, as we're talking about the photos, because Martina at the beginning of the episode just recounts that story about him being crying in his underwear right there.
Right.
I feel like that I guess they were childhood. They've known each other since childhood, I'm guessing.
Or maybe she just told him about it, or he just told her about it.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
I was thinking he probably told him, because it seemed to be a big story that everyone knows about.
Right.
So
I feel like maybe it just impacted him a lot.
It's like one of those things that he brings up to strangers.
I was glued
to my chair.
And then, but I do like Mike says, well, look how good I turned out. Okay, Dad, I accept your apology. He's like, I didn't
say sorry. That was fine.
I didn't apologize.
That was very
like,
Bob.
Yeah, it's their relationship. You know, like when last week they were like, look at us being all mushy as they're like swearing back at each other.
And then we end the episode there back at Bob's bar, and we see Mike and Kyle hanging out there, touching base, and then we find out, hey, guess what? Kyle got glued to the chair, and Mike leaves.
Revenge.
And he did I kinda did. I don't know why I thought that line was so funny in the way they said it.
Well, I did like the other one. I liked is like, I guess I picked the wrong day to not wear underwear.
That was amazing. That was amazing.
And he's like, everyone, you're about to see a lot.
Yourselves. Yeah. What did he say? For like what my wife called average or something.
Yeah.
You see him start to unbutton his pants.
Yeah, that was actually funny that they dropped that in there. I wrong day to not wear underwear, because it was just like out of nowhere, and so I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, that was
great.
So that was episode 4, Rearview Mirror here on Carotid. So any thoughts or predictions as we wrap this up? We'll cue the special.
And now your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Abby.
I don't think really much has changed for my predictions last week. I'm hoping there gets some sort of romance storyline with Shay. I think it'd be very interesting, and I think to get maybe a young guy on the show kind of as like a character, because Justin disappeared, so maybe getting a love interest for either of the girls and just kind of adding a different character and spin on things. That's pretty much the same as last week.
Okay.
I'm kind of hoping to learn a little bit more about Martina's past, because I know we learn a lot about about Mike because Bob and Alice are there, and like you kind of learn a lot about his past through his father figure. But I think it would be interesting to learn a little bit more about Martina because I feel like she's been pretty much like supporting in these last few episodes rather than like the main focus. So I think it'll be interesting to kind of see if we learn more about her and like how she got to be the way she is and why she does certain things, you know, because she is really funny, but I feel like it's more just like one-liners with her. It's kind of been harder for me to like really, you know, love her as a character because I don't know a lot about her. So I feel like maybe throughout the season, hopefully we'll get to like learn a little bit more about her and her backstory because I feel like we know a little bit about everyone else, but she's a little bit of a mystery.
That's a really good point.
That's true, yeah. Now, what do you think? I guess there are two options that we could go with. Either could be that she's pretty much a reflection of her parents, or she's pretty much just like a total opposite number of her parents.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll meet her parents.
I know,
That'd
be a nice thing, I think, to bring her parents in and just seeing how maybe the in-laws interact with each other. That could be a funny episode.
Holiday or something, like Christmas dinner or something.
Because I'm given a therapist, like when it's so close to her, can she not really be? You know, she tries to do therapy, but it's terrible because she's just too involved in it. I don't know. I guess like the last episode of the season is called "Come Back," so I guess my prediction is that we're going to see one of the two girls, or maybe both, actually get jobs or something where they move out, and then the parents want them back because they miss having them so much. I'm guessing maybe.
Or maybe it falls through. You know, we talked a little about Stella being a little like loosey-goosey. Yeah. Like maybe she'll get a job and then it won't work out. Or, you know, I feel like we may see something like Shay will move away and then realize she wants to be home. I feel like that's a good prediction. I feel like I'm interested to know now where they're coming back from.
Oh, all right. Well, folks, that's going to do us here for, as I said, episode 4, Rearview Mirror here on NBC's Crowded. We'll be back next week to break down episode 5. But in the meantime, we want to continue the conversation off air. Abby, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at _Abby Vega.
And Twitter and Instagram for me at Dani Golub.
And you can follow me on Twitter at HappyGoJackie. You can like us on Facebook, rate us, give us those big 5 stars on iTunes. Keep following us there on Twitter. We'll see you next week right here for episode 5 of Crowded on AfterBuzz TV.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.